I'm going to cover a lot of things today, and I wanted to show you this book, share with you this book. I think I told you about it last year. I thought it was just stuff to cut out. So, they have all these little things you can cut out, really lots of images, and 1,500 actually. But what was neat is in the first parts, which I never really looked at until today, today actually, it just gave me some ideas about collaging, so it just shows in the first few pages, which today we're going to do something similar about, we want to tell a story, our own story, with these photos or images that are already created. If you're using magazine pages, prints, or anything you might have, we've got Carol's coming in. Basically, you can cut, tear, and I'm going to give you just some ideas about some just general techniques and ideas. But you can do realistic photo montages, like where they're really realistic looking, where they kind of everything is joined together. Like in this one, the seamless illustration. This was Max Ernst, and he just used to cut out images, but put surrealistic things. Like this lady here looks like a spider head or something, large, extra large. But it looks really natural until you get really close and like, oh wow, that's definitely not real. But that's more of a realistic collage. Then there's more of a freeform one, which is like this, where you would just do a colored background, acrylic paint would be a good thing, and then just cut out. These are cut out very precisely, and they're just put around the image, around the page. And this could be things, your favorite things. These could be parts of your life story, whatever, whatever the pictures do to resonate with you. That's one way to do it. There's another way to tell a story in a collage. And this one is cute. This is actually, he said, it's called building a narrative. But what they have is like a little scene. It's pretty silly, but it looks like a little scene with couches. And I don't know if you can see that, but it has a little scene going on. And this guy has covering the areas, so he's got clothes on, but kind of looks like he doesn't. But anyway, it's a little narrative, and it's very humorous, and it's just by taking little elements of other images and putting them together and making a story. And then there's other ones that you could do, or the photo montage, which is basically just taking photos or images and just layering them over and over and making a seamless finished image afterwards. So this is the kind, I just wanted to share with you, this is kind of what's inspired me in the past few days to kind of go crazy. Well, actually longer than that. So you remember last week, I'm just going to bring this out. Let's see, last week we did those let's see, what did we do? I'm just going to go through the pages so you can see. Okay, remember the little fragmented. This was my fragmented one. And the other fragmented one, I wasn't really happy with at all. It just, the images kind of wrinkled and didn't look right. It was weird. So what I did is I started to scrub off the elements that I had glued on. And what had happened is it had transferred another image. It was crazy. So what was on the opposite side of the print or of the magazine page transferred onto it because I used a gel medium to adhere this. So that was a happy accident, and I'm going to explore it further as far as showing you how I'm going to try to find out, kind of go backwards in time and figure out how I did that so I can share it with you, because it really was very fun and powerful to rub off the emulsion of the print and see something surprising underneath. Then what I did today is I just added a little moon and a little guy landing on the moon just to kind of finish it off. But this was just done by basically getting rid of things and then going back over. So really not all is lost. If you have a collage that you start and you really not happy with it, you can keep working it, especially if you have a strong paper to work on. If you have a even piece of masonite, that's a great piece to collage on, nice and sturdy. But this paper is so thick that it seems to handle that kind of stuff. So today there's a few things I wanted to share. There's these, when you find an image, you want to cut it out precisely. I'm going to go with you, but I'll just kind of go over generally what we're doing. So we're going to be cutting out some detailed images. Then we also, let's see what else I have here. This one here, I had started yes, this was one I had started and I finished it. It's a finished page now, but it started out way differently, of course. And the colors are not really my choice of colors, but I'm going to show you how I how I stick these down with an iron. I use a tack iron, but you can use a regular iron. If you don't have it, that's okay. I'm going to demo that. But first, what you really need are your cutout images. If you have cutouts, or even just some magazine pages that you have images that you want to, a couple of ideas first. So I'm going to take a page. This was a page, it can be a blank page. This one I happened to, I had done like months ago. I figured this would be a good one to do this with. But this one there's a little collage technique. It's a storytelling technique that's really fun. You take pieces of magazine pages, and I cut these all out to 2.5-inch squares. It could be 2-inch squares. It could be torn. I just started cutting out pictures. I just kind of thought, well, this looks interesting. And then I just liked them for the design. Basically, I don't even know what that is. Oh, there it is. But you might even like it just for the layout, the kind of the design. And here there's a sailor and a girl. Just fun, you just never know. You can do it randomly and you never know what you're going to get. Like this one I cut out, and this is what's on the back, and I kind of like what's on the back more than I like what's on the front. So it's kind of a way to get little small images and just so you'll kind of create a story for yourself. So in this one, I decided I wanted to do a story of my favorite things or my favorite things to do. Something about me, telling my story without having to write it all down. So of course I like the things I like. I decided I kind of found some things. And I love, here's a little picture of a guy doing some art. You can see there's colored pencils and it looks like he's journaling or drawing. So I love that. So I thought, okay, I love art. So I'm going to pick that as an image. You could do a torn one too. I love shoes. And this one actually, it doesn't matter what order yet, but I think shoes are cool. So I used to like to collect shoes, but I kind of slowed my roll course over the years. And then what else with it? I love books. So I found this little image of books. So what do I like first? I think I want to go, I like art first. I like shoes second, and I like books the third. So I've got that laid out, kind of figured out, right? Second thing on the food part, I love pizza. So I found this little image where it says hot pizza, hot heroes. And I love donuts. And this lady's eating a donut. And then I love ice cream. So what do I like first? I like ice cream first. You could also, and I like pizza next and the donuts. You can arrange your images in any way on your page, how you want it to be. They could, like I said, they could be cut out, they could be straight, however, just something that tells a bit about you without having to write it down. So that, and then I'm going to save these little squares because there's some interesting things here. Maybe in another story, I could do like, what is this? What is this? Well, it's like, guess what this is? We cut out a small portion of a large image and maybe a texture, and then we can try to guess what it is. But let's just have fun in a page and just do a story about yourself, however you do it. Now, this one I'm going to do with Yes Paste, I think, or a glue stick. If you want to attach it with a glue stick, so I'm going to grab my glue stick. So I think we went over that last week. We talked about the different glues. I don't like to get glue all over myself. It just isn't fun, but we have to in some cases. If you have a Xyron machine, that would be really nice to be able to put that down. But so starting with this one, I'm going to use a little release paper or just some wax paper, and I'm going to lay down. I'm going to do it with I'm just going to do it with Yes Paste. It's a little messier, but you can do it with yours with a glue stick, whatever you want. I've got my bristle brush, and I'm just going to put the color, or not the color, the paste on the back. And the reason I like Yes Paste is it just doesn't wrinkle much, which kind of is interesting. It's just the one that doesn't wrinkle a lot. So I'm just going to put it down, and I've decided I'm going to kind of make them line up with my background. And you could do just kind of finding the image. Now, don't feel rushed. This is something that, oops, I tore it. That's okay. I'll just put it back on. If you don't have time and you want to just cut out images right now, that's good. And then just kind of observe these techniques, and then later on you can decide how you want to make your collage, because there's really no rush to get it done. This is a process. So when you do have a cut, if you do tear, no worries. You see what I just did? I have a little tear, but I don't care. It's there. And I've got a lot of excess glue on that one. I kind of went crazy. I'm just going to kind of dab it up a little bit. There's ways to just kind of wipe it off, and then I'm going to go over it with some gel medium anyway, but at least I've got it laid flat. It's going to stick down anyway. So just if you wanted to glue pieces on, that's how you just do it with your Yes paste or your glue stick or your white glue. Perhaps with white glue, I think though that the pages will, they'll buckle really bad, especially magazine pages. So I've just got these little, and what's nice about the Yes paste is I am able to reposition, which is fantastic because you can change your mind where you want it to be. And yes, there's some shiny stuff there, but all that's going to go away. So that's one way, and I won't finish this one because I can do this at another time. In fact, I'll probably do it after we're done here because I really love creating stories with magazines because it kind of eliminates the need to draw. We can paint over these afterwards. You can do all kinds of things. So, if you have a layout, something like that, that's just one way to do it. Put something in between for now and show you the next technique. Oops, or the next thing. So that's one, and I'll have one page finished and I could write about it, and it's going to be fun. So the second technique, or the second way of collaging, which I wanted to share, is I've got this large journal here, and it doesn't have, you can see I've got the layout figured out, but you know how things move around, right? They move around. But the good part is if you play with, the layout, and you take a photo of it, which I did earlier, then you have the layout. You have it ready. So then you can take it and move it off and start to adhere your pieces, your elements. So in this one, I think it needs to also be a little bit of, I need to do this with the Yes paste. Well, another way to do the gluing thing too is if you have a large area, you just want to do the paste on the back side, like this side, you can do that too. But I'm going to do it because I want to get the sides good, but this is a large amount. So I'm just going to gently brush it on. Maybe instead of a brush, this might have been better with let's say a palette, not a palette, a rubber comb, not a rubber comb. I'm trying to come up with, it's like a spatula type thing, something like a glue spreader. That's the word I was trying to come up with. But this is all I have right now is a brush. So I'm just going to gently, without tearing it, hopefully. And if I tear it, that's okay. I can put it back together. Just going to get all the edges, especially the edges of the piece. And this is a very large piece. Normally you'd want smaller pieces, but I wanted the background. This is a story about, I've been really obsessed with the beach lately. I've been wanting to go so badly to the ocean. It's kind of calling me. So I thought, well, I'm not going now, but I will in the future. And I'm just going to kind of visualize myself at the beach. And in this case, this was kind of a different take on it because I didn't want to show a picture of a lady's face that's not mine, but I didn't want to put my face on it. So what I did was I put a face of a seagull. So the reason I did that was a seagull can go anywhere, right? I mean, it can fly. It flies. It's a bird. So, and it's also a bird of the ocean, and that's kind of why I picked that. But that's a story. It's just a story I'm telling. And what's amazing is when you're collaging, a story can unfold just when you're looking at pictures. The images can inspire you to start your story, and then you start to look for images that are kind of inspiring you to keep telling that story. So it's like a visual story. So I've got all of this laid down. And of course, this magazine page is actually resisting my paste. And that's okay. I'm just going to take this up. I'm going to move that out of the way, and I'm going to lay it down. Now, when you have a large piece, you just want to lay it down, and you want it, if you don't want, you just kind of want to get it in the center, kind of push it out, everything out from the center going out. So a roller, I'm going to grab one of those, is really good. If you happen to have a brayer, if you don't, that's okay. You can just use your fingers, but brayers are very handy for more than just inking things. They are actually awesome for putting down large areas of, glued areas. So I've got a nice, so my brayer is coming in handy. Especially this is a large page. So it's down as flat as I'm going to make it. And so now I'm going to take my photo. I'm going to look at it. And I've got, okay, there it is. So now I'm going to lay down the next element, which is this little seagull face. I think that's the next. Yep, I think I put that down without. I'm just going to go ahead and glue that, take that a little bit of glue. If you have a glue sticks are just as fine, are fine too. And I'm going to position it kind of how it's positioned in the photo. And with the yes paste, I'm able to move it around, which is nice. I'm just going to use that tissue. If you have tissue paper or any kind of wax paper, that all works. I'm going to look at the image, and I see the second piece is this flower. And that's the reason I'm doing that is the lady's hair needs to be covered. And so I thought, well, I'm going to make a flower crown or a flower headpiece because it's pretty and it's feminine. And so I'm going to just put that on, and I'm going to try to get it in the same position or similar to what I had in my original, in my photo. And that's what's really great about taking a photo of your layout, because it takes time to go over the layout, and it takes time this is my next one. And I will show you some little techniques, if you don't know already, on cutting out detailed. I'll show you that momentarily. On cutting out detailed images without ruining your wrist. So I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to lay this kind of where it shows on the photo. And the next one was this little guy, this little flower. So you can see how fun it is. You can create a composition ahead of time, and now it's just putting it together. I don't have to worry about, oh no, where was that? It's already been predetermined. Now I'm kind of just following my photo. Next one was this one. And this could be a fun little surrealistic story, and I'll tell you the story about this one as I'm doing it. So she's in the water. I'm just going to look at that, make sure it's the same. There we are. So there is the headpiece. Everything's good. She's in the water. See, there's water surrounding her. She's at the beach. She is holding a butterfly, or she's got a butterfly. I'm not sure it's really being held, but maybe a butterfly is about to land on her fingers because she's in nature, or nature she is at one with. So there's our butterfly. And then I've got this little balloon, and I found it's a little like a hot air balloon. And that's over in the image as well. And that one is probably how she got there. If I could make this a colorful one, it would be like, okay, she's leaving Arizona, running to the beach, or this was the way I got there, or my husband could be dropping me off and going back to Arizona. Whatever, I can just make this a story, however I want this story to be. And so then I have my next piece, and I have to look at there's my little shell. We can also unify this too by doing glazing over it, like painting. I'm just doing the collage elements right now. So I'm just going to put this shell. I'm going to change the position a little bit from the original photo because I think it looks kind of static. And now I'm going to put this fish that I had cut out from that Cutout and Collage book I just showed you. She's at one with the, she's almost a mermaid. I should have had some mermaid tail or something. But here's my little fish, and I'm going to just put it right in the same position. And I want to show you this little technique that I do, cutting out things that are really little. So here is a little fish. It's really detailed. Make sure everybody's here. Okay, everybody's okay. I'm just going to read. Okay, so here's my little fish. It's got lots of little details, and I want it detailed. So what you do is when, of course, you've got to take my, I'm going to grab some baby wipes because I have so much glue on my finger. I'm going to just grab a little wipe to get that hand clean so my stuff doesn't stick to my hands, especially a little picture like that. Okay, so now, now I've got this, and my hands are clean. And the way I do this, and this is the way you would just want, so that you're not cutting, this is something you may have done before, but I'm just going to show you how I do it. I start to cut, and I don't change the position of my scissors. I just change the position of, and you can get very detailed by just changing the position of your paper. And just keep your scissors, kind of move them up, back and forth, but don't, and you can get itty bitty details, practically hairline details by doing that. So just move it, keep your scissors in the same position, and you can get a very nice cut that way, and just less stress on your hands and on everything basically. So you see, I'm just going to keep my hand right in this little tiny saw zigzag thing going here, and I'm able to get it. This little fish I wanted to cut out, and has some nice little thin areas, and I don't want to lose those. So that's kind of wanted you to know that. That's how I do it. And I think you'll find this way easier, and you'll get so much more, and it's faster. You'll get more detail, and it is much faster than trying to move your scissors around. And I've even used these with big fat scissors, and it still works really well. So now I've got my little cutout. I'm just going to glue this little guy. I'm just going to put it right on there. Oh, somebody says, who knows what that was. So I'm going to have the fish kind of kissing because, I don't know, why not? So there's this is my little story here that started. We've got this seagull lady. I mean, there's some things I can do here. I might add a little, I don't have anything with me, but anyway, that's one way. That's kind of a photo montage type of thing. And I wanted you to just know that's how you can do those kinds of stories, those kinds of compositions. So that, I'm going to let that dry. And this is not too wrinkled, but if it were to get really wrinkled, what I would do is spray the back, flatten it under something heavy, and that's that one. So that, I'm going to stick a piece of paper underneath or something so it doesn't, oh, I don't have any fresh stuff. Here we go. Maybe I do. Here we go. Okay, so the next thing I'm excited to tell you about. So here's what you should do is just kind of make sure everything's flat, and then just wait for it to dry. So that's that one. So the other thing I wanted to share with you is I'm going to get my other journal, the one I was working on. A couple things here, and this is the one that's almost complete, this journal. Okay, so I wanted to share with you how I had done this. This is not done yet. It's getting there, but let's see if I can find that other page, wherever it is. Okay. Remember this, I think I did this last week with you, and I wanted to, just complete the story. So I've decided I'm going to have this lady here at the bottom of this one, and I'm going to write some text in. She's sort of presenting something, I don't know what yet, but it will be something, a story of some sort. Now this one here, remember last week, I talked about, this brain thing anyway. I didn't want to make it morbid or anything. So I've got this doctor, this scientist doing some kind of experiment, and then this is it's going to be a story for that, but I'm not going to glue it yet. The thing I wanted to share with you this piece that I did last week, this is that little, we did the flip-flop collage, which actually last week also, the other flip-flop collage that I did, I'm going to move these out real quick. I didn't like it, but I like it now because I was able to subdue it a little bit. But see, you can do in this one too. The reason I don't like it right now is it's floating around. There's this background I'm not really happy with. So I'm going to show you something really cool. There's two things I want to show you. Do you ever get paper that is too thick to collage? It's thick. This is almost like cardstock, and a lot of scrapbook papers are kind of like that. So I'm going to show you a fun little thing. I wanted to kind of unify this image by adding another element to the sides, and I think that will make it look better. Plus, it covers up that background I don't like. But this paper is awfully thick. So what a suggestion, if you have too thin of papers, and this is a really fun technique. If your papers, I'm sorry, are too thick, you can wet I'm going to tell you what I did is I put a gel medium over it on one side only. Not on the back, but on this front side. I just brushed on gel medium and let it dry. And now I'm going to just wet. I'm getting them both wet. And this is something, I should have done it in the tray. There we go. Just get them wet. Just dip them in. It's not going to hurt. And you can see the water is absorbing and going through it's going through it. That's good. We want it to do that. Now I've got a little plate to do my next little trick on. It's not a trick, but if you don't want to dip it in water, you can just spray it with water too. That's fine. Just get it wet. Let it soak a little bit. In fact, I'll let that soak. Also, this is one way that you can transfer images or get a thinner collage paper. So I did that on this one. I actually took off the paper backing, and now I have a nice thin piece of collage paper. So here's how you do it. You just take it and start rubbing with the back, gently rub with the back of your hand or your finger, sorry, and you just rub through the image all the way to get that paper off, and you can just keep getting it wet. Use a plate or something, or just do it on a table, it's all right. But you're just gonna take off all that thick paper, and you're gonna leave the image only. That gel medium that you brush on the front actually will keep everything intact. You'll get this very thin, translucent film of a beautiful image, whatever you've decided. It could be a magazine page, it could be a print, even a photo, like a semi-gloss photo. A shiny photo probably would work too. I haven't tried it on a shiny photo. But so you basically just keep getting that wet, and you'll feel the paper just rolls right off the back. And it's fun and it's tactile. It's a very fun process because it just gets you really kind of your fingers wet, kind of like it's like a fun therapeutic process to be able to do that. So I'm just going to do this all along. And I'm going to just do it on one right now because it won't hurt to leave that one soaking for a while. I want to make sure you get as much info because this is a information-filled class, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to take these techniques and make some really fun visual stories in your journal. And then what we'll do is after I've demonstrated after this, there's two more techniques I'm going to show you, and then we're going to open up and, if you have questions or anything, we will have a discussion and chat about the next step. But this, I just want to give you lots of things to work with because collage is there's so many things, and it's so individual. It depends on, it's really quite an exciting medium because you can really go crazy with it. That's all. That's what I'm saying. I'm obsessed with it. So I've got this nice thin piece to work with now. I don't have everything off, but I can even stick it back in there and wipe off those little extra pieces of paper. So now what I have is this beautiful, thin, sort of translucent image that I can collage now. I can glue onto the side, which I will while it's wet, while it's damp. I can do it on the other. I'll do a little bit. I won't waste your time on that because I could just spend hours doing this, but I'll show you the next thing that happens. So I'm going to put those aside for now. But this is ready to glue. And what you do is you take a little paper towel and you just dab it off. Just dab it off and get that excess water off. You don't need to get all of it because it's going to help you. It helps it to lay flat anyway. And this is some that really thick paper, and I haven't used it. I've had it forever, and I just didn't really know what to do with it. And now that I have figured this out, now I've got all these papers I can play with, and oh boy, it's a game changer. So now I'm going to I could use the gel medium, I could use my gloss medium, whatever I want. Use my Yes paste. I'm just going to use the fluid matte medium just to see what happens because I haven't tried this for the gluing, but you can use anything you want to glue. So I'm taking the back side where the wet, where I had rubbed off the paper, and I'm just going to brush some fluid medium, gel medium would work, glue stick, anything. But probably an acrylic medium would work your best because especially if you have an acrylic base, this will work really well as a glue. And I'm just going to lay it down where I kind of had positioned it before. And right here is all I need to do. Just stick it on. Now I can go over it with just go over it a little bit like that. And it's laying beautifully flat. It's not going anywhere. It's a really neat technique, and it will kind of fuse to the paper. And then I'll do the other one on this side, and then I might write some things, and then I'll put a gel or something over that. But I wanted you to see that. That's one way to do that. Okay, so that's that one. Wanted to give you that kind of fun way of gluing down things. Now the other, let's see, I'm going to do it in this page. All right, so I'm going to go to one of these, and I don't remember which. Oh, this one. I wanted to show you how I did happens. And I'm going to add a few more things to it. Let's see what happened. So what I'm going to do is just put a little barrier in between that one so it doesn't stick. There we go. Now, next thing. Excuse me. This is something that I just recently discovered too that I think is so much fun. So if you take gel medium or you find little pieces of things that you want to put on. Like here, I wanted to add, let's see, I think this one would look cool. What I did with this has been coated on both sides with gel medium. All of these elements are coated on both sides with the gloss. Okay, so you can, this is where this piece here, basically these are all cutouts coated on both sides. So you just brush a coat, and I'll do one right now. Like this would be a nice one to do. I've got this little piece it's just some rice paper. And what you do, I'm just going to take my towel here so I have it. I'm going to take some gel medium. Don't want to, let's see, get myself there we are. Get that water off for a second. I'm going to use my gel medium, but this time I'm going to use the gloss, or I can use a soft gel gloss. Doesn't matter, any kind of gloss, or usually the gloss is better. Like a thick, heavy bodied, or it can be thin, it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to coat it on one side. And this is rice paper, so it's delicate, has delicate torn edges. Coat it on one side, and then, of course, you got to wait for it to dry. Let's see if I can do this anyway. And you want to coat it on the other side. So you want both sides coated. So got this, don't have my heat gun with me, but I'm just going to do both sides. And that's how you do this. You take all of your little pieces that you want to put on, and you coat them with the gel, and then you set it aside and let it dry. So that might take a few minutes, so I'm going to have to show you the technique with stuff that's already dried. But set that aside and let it dry, and anything that you work on. Here's another piece. I'll just do it real quick. Here's a cut piece. This is a gel piece of something I had printed with my jelly plate. It's rice paper, actually, that I printed. I'm going to just do both sides, coat it with the gel, and let it sit. Just let those dry. So that's how I did all these little pieces. I pre-coated them. Okay, so dry, not, you don't have to let them dry for very long, but just for until they're dry to your touch. Next step, if you have an iron, and you don't need to do it now, but the things you need to do this next step are the coated pieces of your collage, whatever, coated pieces, double side coat. You usually you would want to paint your surface, whether it be your page, with a coat of paint, acrylic paint, semi-gloss or gloss. That's probably your best because you're going to need the acrylic to bond to each other. So what you want is a coat of color, let that dry, and then find your elements and do exactly what I showed you. Arrange everything, take a photo of it, and then set it aside, coat everything. That would be your next step. This one, I had already just done the first layer where I had coated these and I put them where they need to go. So I still want to add some more elements. And you can do this layering technique. This one was only one, that was that side. So here, this one I thought was a really interesting piece of paper. I'm going to it's actually been coated on both sides. I'm going to tear it again because I need it to be thinner. I kind of want the text to show. And I want to cover up some of it. I think it would be really neat to just kind of lay it over here. And this is what I love about collage. You can just keep working and layering. Yeah, that looks kind of neat. And I might even tear it a little bit to make it pointy. Maybe just kind of, there we go, tear some of that edge off. So that kind of works with what's under there. So there's a little element there. And then I have this other piece. It's been coated. And I'm thinking, well, I don't know where to put it. Doesn't matter. This is all decisions. So many decisions. So I'm going to take maybe this piece and put it over here, like that. And now I've got 3 elements that are red. I've got a little piece. This piece is still drying. I wish it wasn't. There we go. Wish it was still ready to go. But there we go. That will work. So let's say you've laid all your little elements down, your layers. And now the next thing, this is what I love about this. I'm going to lay down a piece of wax paper / release paper, whatever you've got. That should be something that will resist heat because you're going to iron. So I'm just going to put this stuff actually, if you put it down, press it down, the acrylic medium kind of acts like a color form, kind of sticks a little bit. This one's not, but it should. And I'm just going to lay this piece of release paper over. And I've got a tack gun, which is like an iron. And it's a tacking iron. But you can use an iron and don't set it too hot, like silk, or you don't want it at cotton because that's just too hot. These tacking irons are made at a certain temperature. They're just the right temperature for what I'm doing this for. But you can just do it at a temperature where it melts you don't want it to burn it. You want it just to melt your papers. Well, actually the mediums, and what it will do, your gel medium will fuse without, it glues it. It's like basically no wrinkling. It sticks totally flat. It's amazing. So now I don't have any, it's like it totally melted the edges, and it's really amazing how it just stuck right to it. And now what I could do is I can keep layering like pictures. If I find another picture, there you go. There was a picture I wanted to put down. There she is. This one here. I kind of think somewhere. I kind of don't really like this one, and I could lift this up. The beauty is I could lift that one up because I didn't like that one. And I can use this. I like this one a little better. I'm going to cut it out. But it tacks it down enough for you so that you can, depending how much medium you put on. I think with that one I didn't have that much medium, so it seemed to come off nice and easy, but you can still tear it. You could probably lift it off and still not damage the underneath. If you're just kind of lift it in one side and carefully, maybe right after you've heated it, it could lift, which is nice. So the medium is acting like a glue after it dries. I've been told that acrylic medium off gases some sticky stuff. So if you're worried about it, I would definitely use it in, well ventilated area. I'm not worried about it. I'm in a my room's well ventilated. I don't see any smoke coming up. But if, I'm really concerned, if you're concerned, do any of these that requires any heat. That would be encaustic, or anytime you're using an iron like this, you should do it in a ventilated area, probably even when you're ironing your clothes, because it just could, you never know, fabric softeners or whatever's in your clothing. So this tacks it down, and there it is. It's on there. It's not going anywhere. So what I thought it would be fun is, this is a tulip, and I'm going to just draw a little stem and leaves just to kind of finish the story of whatever that story is. It's kind of just this is more of an abstract collage. I wanted to show you the tacking iron thing because it's a game changer for me, because you don't get glue. Now you can reposition things. You've got all kinds of ways that you could use that tacking iron, or regular iron will work too, or just those little small irons that you have. So I'm going to kind of open it up to see if you have any questions you want to go over anything. I'm opening it right up for everybody.